I'm Mark from SnowOnly, and as everybody knows, I'm delighted to have with me today Seb from Cimalpes, who's based in Tignes. Cimalpes, oh my God. Seb, where are you? Tell us, how's the snow? Where are you? Which part of Tignes are you in?
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me today.
Pleasure.
I'm obviously in Tignes, in Le Lac area. The sun's out today. Snow's looking good at the moment. We've got it's due to get colder at the end of this week. At the moment, we're quite lucky being high up here. It does get quite cold, but yeah, the snow's good. The sun's shining. It's a lovely day in Tignes.
Wonderful. I love this ski area. I spent my 40th birthday in Val d'Isère and pretty much skied all my time in your ski area. For anyone that kind of doesn't really know, can you just kind of explain? I know there's a lot of sections to this ski area. Can you just give us a brief overview of where everything is, what height everything is, and kind of how it kind of lays out a little bit?
Yeah, so we've got obviously, our ski resort at Tignes is connected to Val d'Isère. Val d'Isère the resort level lies at 1850. Obviously, you've got Le Daille and Le Fournet in that as well. Le Fournet is a bit higher. Over here in Tignes, we've got a few different hamlets. It's generally a bigger resort here. So in Tignes, we've got Val Claret, which sits at the highest part of the Tignes station. Then when we come down into the Lac area, the difference in height is very minimal. So we're looking at a height of around 2,100 in general. Then outside of the Lac area, there's different hamlets within Le Lac as well. So we have like Le Cruz, we have Les Armes, we have Le Rosset, and then when we move out of that, we head out to an up-and-coming area called Tignes-Lavachet. And then down from there, we move down into Le Bois, which is another part of Tignes, which is further down the mountain. People that know Tignes will know that there's the dam, the famous dam, which is just before we head down to the dam. We get to Tignes Le Bois, and then 1800. And then when we go across the dam and down, we get to another part of Tignes called Tignes Le Brevier, which is a beautiful old-style village. So I hope that gives you a good overview of what we're looking at in terms of Tignes.
So you say something I already kind of picked up with you there. You say that Lavachet is an up-and-coming area, and I would say it was quite established. So in terms of, obviously, the main three resorts that you generally have, or that I'm familiar with, are Val Claret, Le Lac, and Lavachet. Are you saying that Lavachet is up and coming because it's got a lot of new development, or how is that changing and evolving?
Yeah, there's a lot more developments that are being made in Lavachet at the moment, and there's future plans that are currently being spoken about, which is going to give Tignes Lavachet a new how would I say, a sort of facelift, so to speak.
Okay.
But we've got a few exciting programs in there at the moment. For example, I've got 2 apartments for sale at the moment currently that are brand new in Lavachet, and they're going to be beautiful. I mean, when they're done, we've currently got another 6-bedroom apartment which has just been freshly renovated, and that one is stunning. I'm starting to see the standards of Lavachet coming up in terms of the types of building that's happening, the interiors. So I think it's an exciting place, to be fair.
And if we take those 3 places, obviously, as the general conversation that we have, is there a more desirable area? Are people more wanting to be in Val Claret and then it works down, then they go Le Lac, or is there how does that kind of work?
It depends, actually. I mean, Le Lac and Val Claret have a lot of benefits to them, same as Lavachet. Is there a particular one that people favour? Yes and no. It depends what they want their property for. What I tend to find is that Tignes Le Lac, from a summer point of view, is great because obviously you're on the lake. There's a lot of activities there in summer. Not to say it's not in winter. It's still very well connected in winter. Up in Val Claret, there's a lot more restaurants. A lot of bars as well. In the summer, it's just as good up in Val Claret in terms of the mountain biking scene is still very, very good up there. But obviously, Tignes Le Lac, you're on the lake. There's tennis courts down there. There's paddle boarding. There's all sorts going on in the summer. So it really depends on what someone wants their property for. Obviously, there are restaurants and bars as well in Le Lac, just like Val-Claret. But it really depends on the client.
How does it, in terms of those three resorts, how is it interconnected in terms of accessing in if you were going to go skiing or if you were going to go out for the evening, how accessible is it to get from resort to resort?
Well, it's really quite well connected. So outside of the ski times, there's buses that move from place to place, Val-Claret back to Le Lac into La Vache, and then continue the loop, even down to Tignes and the Brevier. There's still buses and connections down there as well. Yeah. In terms of skiing, obviously everywhere's really well connected. There's 2 chairlifts that run out of the bottom of Tignes La Vache. And in terms of Le Lac, I mean, you've got the Tovier bubble, and then you've got the Palafort chairlift that runs directly out of the Lac area. And then in terms of Val-Claret, you've got 4 different lifts that lead out of there. You've got the Bolin, Tufts, you've got the funicular, which takes you up towards the Grand Mort, and you've also got T-show on the other side as well, which takes you up to the Theme Park. People that are familiar with Theme will know the lifts that I'm talking about there.
Yeah, the funicular that goes up is amazing. It's such a quick way to easy access the top of the mountain. I absolutely love it. So if we look in from a kind of real estate perspective, is there less opportunity in Val-Claret and Le Lac in comparison? And if there is less opportunity, is the price point being affected by the 3 resorts? How does that kind of work?
Tignes is a high resort. I'm finding that a lot of people are coming here at the moment for snow surety. In terms of the pricing of those different areas, there is a slight difference, but we're not really talking too much of a difference.
What's the price point per square meter? Just so we have a ballpark.
If I said between 9,000 a square meter up to 13.5, 14 a square meter. Obviously, there are exceptions to that. There are properties that are priced more than that, and less in other circumstances per square meter. It depends on the property, location, the way that it faces. I mean, if I look at what's available in Val-Claret as a comparison to, say, Tignes Le Lac, I would say that there are more chalets available in Tignes Le Lac compared to Val-Claret.
Okay.
The apartments, I find that there are chalets in Val-Claret, but it's more of an apartment scene up in Val-Claret. Obviously, there are apartments in Tignes Le Lac and La Vache as well, of course. But where the big chalets are is actually down in Le Lac. And I say down, I don't mean down. It's not down the mountain. I mean where we are here.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question, really, but
it kind of does. I think that we're kind of seeing we see a lot of our inquiries come in, and there's obviously a specific area that they want to be in, and I think that is usually determined by the likes of Le Lac and Val-Claret. Obviously, if you go way further down the mountain, then there's obviously less desire. So if you have, let's for example say, a nice 2-bedroom come up in Val-Claret or Le Lac that offers a really good location, how quickly does it sell? Is it particularly easy to sell? If you're a buyer, how quickly do you have to move? How does that process work? Is it actually? And my other question is it sold on a square meterage basis, or is there it needs to be in immaculate condition even for it to sell quickly? How does that all work?
It completely depends on the person's project. So a buyer's project could be rip everything out and start again, in which case if the price per square meter reflects that, then great, it will sell quickly. Desirable location with a great facing property. I mean, they do sell very quickly in general. I mean, people that I'm in touch with, it's great because I can just phone them and say, look, you're looking for a 2-bedroom. I've just found you a 2-bedroom place here. It's just come on the market. It's not quite, it hasn't had enough time on the market to be on our website. And generally what I do find is that we can often sell property without it being on our website fairly quickly with the people that I'm already in touch with. So it completely depends. Does this property match this buyer's criteria? Is that what they're looking for? If it's a match, great, it will sell really quickly. Obviously, we're probably going to come onto it, I imagine, in a minute, but we have the buy-to-let schemes out here in Tignes, which are quite quite known for
Yeah.
teams. And if that contract matches the buyer's wishes of how much
Yeah.
they need to buy or how much they want to be out in this resort, then great, it'll sell very quickly. If it doesn't match, then that's not right for them, but that's fine. I can find them something else, and there will be another opportunity at a later date. It's just finding that match essentially. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So we're kind of looking at around 10,000 euros a square meter on an average, let's say, for easy maths. So we're looking
average is a bit higher than that, but yeah.
Okay. Let's now it's harder maths, but let's go to 12,000 square meter, whatever it is. So we're looking at something slightly over, say, 400,000 for 40 square meters, slightly something over 500,000 for 50 square meters. What's a kind of typical property that people have available in Tignes to purchase for a 2-bedroom? Would it be around 50 square meters, 500,000, something along those lines?
Depending on the property, yeah, potentially. I mean, it depends on the way that the property faces, where it is, obviously, again, and the sort of layout, the standard of the interior currently. It could be anything between 500,000 and 600,000, really, for talking truly about a 50-meter squared property, something around that I'd be looking at.
I mean, it's still in terms of obviously the greater scheme of property in the Alps for such a well-known resort with such a desirable ski area and altitude. I wouldn't say it was grossly expensive by any stretch of the imagination when you're looking at the likes of Courchevel 1800 and stuff like that, pushing some super high price per square meter. I'd say that Tignes was still relatively, in terms of talking about that. Are you still seeing steady growth? How's that working at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, in this market at the moment, obviously the market is we're still moving up in terms of our prices. I know that other markets are pretty stagnant and flat at the moment. Ours is still moving. We're still selling things. We're still seeing things come and go. There you go. We're still moving.
Yeah, good.
Does that answer your question?
The question I did want to ask you. So from SnowOnly's point of view, we get a lot of inquiries, and not just for Tignes, but actually quite a few other places. But specifically for Tignes, we get quite a lot where there is a lot of, as you said, buy-to-let or leaseback properties on the market when everyone wanting to have an outright purchase to be able to what's the kind of ratio of buy-to-lets? What do you call them, buy-to-lets or leaseback?
It's both. I can understand it from both. We actually the actual name of the contract is a bail commercial or a mandat de gestion or loyer montagne is they all kind of mean roughly the same thing. It does depend on the type of contract that we're talking about. So it completely depends on that. To be
okay,
honest.
so let's just expand on that a little bit. So just off the top of your head, you may not know, but what roughly is a proportion of properties available that are buy-to-let and or outright purchase? If you have 10 properties available, how many would be buy-to-let? How many would be outright purchases, roughly? I think this is just to give people some perspective, because we get, as I said, we get a lot of inquiries inquiring after a leaseback or buy-to-let, but actually wanting something else. And I think it would be important for people to know how many of that are available.
We've got plenty available. Generally speaking, new builds out here in Tignes. The mayor, we work with the mairie, and they tend to put them into that scheme. It's to keep warm beds in resort, essentially. If you know what I mean by that, it keeps the resort alive. It brings a good economy to this resort. It means that in future we can look at building new ski lifts, upgrading the resort. It's generally it's a good scheme. There's so many positives in it, and what I do find is that when somebody buys a freehold property where they can do whatever they want with it, often they don't want to leave it dormant. They want it to be looked after. So they want a management company keeping it turned over, doing regular checks on it, or just in general, they want to make money out of their property out here, which covers the mortgage or gives them extra pocket money. So they want to rent their property out anyway. And just with these buy commercial schemes, It just means that they get more for their money in the first instance of buying the property, in terms of getting 20% tax back, not paying the 8% stamp duty, you pay the 2% instead. There's many benefits to this type of projects that happen here. To answer your question, what ratio? It's really difficult to say. Out of 10, there's going to be 5 that are in a buy commercial. I just think it's important for people that are purchasing to ask the question, like, am I going to be interested in this buy commercial property? Is that what I want? And ask your agent, such as myself, said, I'm not interested in buy commercial, or do you know what, a buy commercial would be really interesting for me. Can I just see properties that are in buy commercial? Yeah, no problem at all. That's not a problem. We've currently got a lot of opportunities within our buy commercial. They do sell, and they sell well. And for the person that's not directly here in resort every single weekend, this type of purchase can really work. And in terms of an investment over the 15 to 25 years, whatever the lease is on that property, it can, you can get a lot of your money, and it's a really good investment.
Yeah. What was my other question? I had another. In terms of the location, is there more buy-to-lets in Val-Claret, Lelac, or Lavachet, or is it kind of like spread all across the board?
All across team.
Okay.
All across team. Yeah. So in Lelac, Val-Claret, and even down to Le Brevier, we've got plenty of new programs in Le Brevier at the moment, which are in buy commercial. But I mean, like it's going to really update Tignes Le Brevier essentially, because it's changing the fascias and it's making the place look more beautiful, because you have these beautiful buildings that are built that have great architecture on the outside. So it's a benefit to the resort as well, rather than seeing older buildings.
Yeah, understood. One of the questions that we always get answered is, and maybe you can answer this quite easily, is obviously you have, in terms of the buy-to-let, you have a lot of different companies that are offering that buy-to-let. It's not one specific company. Are each company offering different terms for their buy-to-let?
Yes. So
and even if, okay, my second question is, you can answer them all together. So even if they were in one company, is that at all flexible in terms of adjusting their buy-to-let with if they see a property and they go, yes, I like that, but I'd like an extra week in winter and one less in the summer? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it depends on which company. It depends on the contract.
Okay.
So you just need to, I would say to people listening, like, you just ask your agent, what are the terms of this buy commercial? It's really important that you know the ins and outs of what you can and can't do. To give you an example, I've got one for sale at the moment that is in a buy commercial currently. This property has 2 weeks essentially that can be used of the winter, one in medium weeks and one in low weeks. What the current owner does is she changes that medium week for 2 other low weeks. So but I also know that the person that buys this property this December will be able to ask for more weeks if that's what they want, and that's, so it can be changed, but it's doing it in the right time with the contract that you've got. That being said, that doesn't sound like a lot of weeks needed, but often people don't come out here for more than 3-4 weeks in a winter season anyway. It's quite rare to do that. So for the rest of the time, they're making money on their property. Another type, just to give it completely the opposite twist on this, another type, you can use your property for up to 6 to 8 weeks of the winter if you want to, and the rest of the time you're being remunerated for renting out your property and letting other people use it. So it depends on how much flexibility do you need, how many weeks do you want it for, can that work for you, and also what you're being remunerated is different with each company as well. So they're all things just to check in with if you're going down that route of a buy commercial, which could work for you. Just is that contract going to work for you? And also, after a period of time, you'll be asked if you want to exit that program and not have the buy commercial anymore. It becomes freehold. Sometimes there are charges to get out of that sort of contract. Sometimes it's completely free. And other times, and also with these buy commercials, sometimes they're with specific companies. In some instances, you have the contract with Team that says you're going to rent your property. In other circumstances, you can choose the company. So you can say, well, actually, I want to use Cimalpes, for example, to run my property for me and rent it out in terms of the agreement of me purchasing this property, gaining back that 20% and not paying 8% stamp duty and paying 2%. So that's give you a broad idea of how that sort of works.
No, I think that's such excellent advice, because I think there's a preconceived idea of what someone can offer you. So if it doesn't work for them, then they go, okay, that doesn't really work. But there is obviously some flexibility about the usage that they can have it in winter and summer. So then it's not so rigid in what they're offering. I think it's important that people ask the question and say, I'm going to use it for, I know you're only offering 2 weeks, but maybe I need it for an extra half a week in winter. How does that work in terms of obviously my summer usage? Can we exchange it? And it is possible, right?
In some circumstances, yes. And it's important to not forget that there are white periods with most of these companies as well. The white periods being the periods in which you can use your property and it wouldn't affect your weeks or your remuneration from that company as well. It depends on which one we're talking about once again, but there are white periods and you can use your property in that time. It's yours at the end of the day.
Yeah, perfect. Seb, I think that's I think it's a good segue to kind of lead on to the fact that you're obviously, for something like a leaseback, you're obviously then allocated certain weeks in the summer. What's team like in the summer? Obviously, the world is changing a lot, and some people are not even, when they go to a ski resort in the winter, they're not even skiing because they want to go to the spa or the restaurants or whatever it is. We know the whole process is skiing. When I was young, it used to be 8 till 4 every day, 6 days, and that was it. But now people kind of do different activities and are looking a lot more at the summer activities. What's Tignes like in the summer in terms of, is it a busy resort? Is there a kind of closed period where you do the transition? Give me a little bit of feedback.
So yeah, just to go on the bike commercial, just on one last note, and then I'll come on to your summer question, if that's okay. When you're in a bike commercial, I heard you just say allocated the weeks. Obviously, as an owner, you block your owner's weeks. So you say, oh, I actually want to be here in this week. It fits my contract that I've got with you. I'm going to be here for that week, and then that week and that week. So just to say, I don't want people to think that they're allocated a week. You choose your week.
Important.
So moving on to summer. Sorry.
No, it's important. We talked about this. It's the English in me, the allocated weeks. We're not the best at doing these kind of things. Yeah.
So just to come on to the summer, I love the summer here. I think the summer's amazing. Considering of how much there's to do in winter here. I remember a friend of mine years and years ago said to me, "Oh, Seb, you need to stay out here for summer." And I used to just do the winter here a long time ago. And he said, "You've got to come out here for summer." And I was thinking, I'm not sure I believe this guy at all. Ever since doing my first summer, I cannot say how good it is out here. The sun's really nice and hot. The air's nice and fresh. You don't get that uncomfortable humidity here. You're still walking around in t-shirt and shorts all day and throughout the evening as well. So to tell you a bit about how summer sort of works out here after the winter, things tend to close for the first inter-season, which is around mid-May to mid-June, maybe late June. Then the summer starts. Things start opening back up. Restaurants are back open again. You have the summer period, and I'll explain a few of the activities that are available here just shortly. But after the summer, about mid-September in general, obviously Val d'Isère's got their summer as well, and they've got plenty of activities over there too, which I can come on to in a minute if you like. But essentially, you have the second inter-season, which is like mid-September through till about end of October. People start arriving into resort around November time to start getting things ready for the winter. So yeah, in summer, there's so many activities. There's fairs and fetes that happen. There's pop-up markets that come into resort. People are horse riding. There's outside tennis, outside football. There's volleyball. There's paddleboarding on the lake. There's peddlers on the lake. They have the slides that go into the lake, and also that jump you up as well at the end. And obviously, you're still wearing a small wetsuit because it's still glacier water, so it's quite
Yeah,
fresh.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
people do go swimming in just their skin. I actually like going bathing in the rivers in the summer. It's because it's so refreshing.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's the gyms here. There's a really big presence in Tignes of teams of athletes that come here to train at altitude as well.
Oh, yeah.
And the benefit to Tignes is that we've got the facilities to be able to provide for that. We've got the lagoon, which has a gym, an inside pool. There are outside pools in various places within Val d'Isère and Tignes as well that you can go to. Then we've got the Tignes Space, which is a massive inside centre with squash courts, with big football courts. They've got inside rollerblading and skateboarding. There's just so many activities here, outside trampolines. I mean, the list is endless. Rock climbing, you name it, it's got it here. Obviously, don't forget the downhill mountain biking and the road biking is such a presence here. I mean, the Tour de France goes through Val d'Isère and here up towards the Col de Zeran, and it's come into Tignes before. So it really is lively here. It's a great resort in terms of its summer trade. It doesn't shut down like a lot of other resorts do in the Alps where everything's just dead and nothing's happening. Here, we've still got. We're very lucky here to have that. The lifts, not all the ski lifts are open, but a lot of the lifts are open.
Is the funicular open?
I believe it's not open. No, I don't think it is. I think they open it for a period of time for one of the restaurants up there, but it's generally the other biking lifts that are open. And like for example, in Val d'Isère, there's a lift. Those viewers that know this area will know Val d'Isère. There's a Soleil's bubble which leads up towards Soleil's ski area. Yeah. If you take that bubble up, you're not going to bike down from there. That lift access is predominantly for speed riding and parapunting, and it's also for walkers as well. There's a lovely restaurant out there called Juliette, which is open in summer. So you do have lift access for certain restaurants that are open. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. There's a lot to do.
You've sold it to me, I think. I'm quite keen. I always had there was a little bit of maybe a misconception about being Tignes in the summer, but you clearly selling it as a very vibrant resort. And I think now a lot of people, it's a necessity almost to have access to the resorts in the summer, and things are going on. The dual season that we've been hearing about for probably the last 10 years clearly is in abundance in Tignes, that's for sure.
I mean, we've also, just to say as well, we've got a driving range and an 18-hole golf course. So
nice.
There really is everything for anyone, really, I would say, up here.
Yeah,
I really rate the summer. I think it's so underrated by a lot of people. And I think if you haven't been out here in summer, you need to take a holiday, with your partner, with the kids or whoever, your family, and get out here. I think it's amazing. And it's not too busy. It's a nice level of busy as well. I think in some of the peak weeks during winter, you can feel that Tignes and Val d'Isère are quite saturated with people, whereas in the summer, it's a nice consistent level of people here. And and the buses still run, and it's beautiful. It's gorgeous weather. I can't talk about it enough. Okay.
So I think we've covered like the price per square meter, the different levels, the leaseback scheme. Just as a general question, if your preference, if you had 500, 600, 700,000, where would you be looking to invest in the moment in Tignes?
That's a really, really good question.
I know you could say everyone has their personal desires and all that kind of stuff as a cop-out answer, but generally for you, what do you consider as being someone that lives there? Would you prefer to be in Leaseback? Would you prefer to be in Val-Thorens? Would you consider something a little bit more because for me, I've lived in many different countries. I've lived in Phuket, in Thailand, and Bali, and Montenegro at the moment. And for me, it's convenience is key. Finding those places that give me the access to the things that work for my kind of life. Do you know what I mean? I need to go to CrossFit. I need to be able to take my son to school. I need my house, and it's like the triangle of things that kind of work for me. Where's that for you?
I think if I was going to look in Tignes, I think I'd be really keen to try and invest in a place called Le Cruz, but it's generally known for being a more expensive part of town. There are opportunities for people with 600, 700,000, that for sure, and even less in some circumstances, depends on the size of property you're buying. That place to me is great. It's well connected to the Val Claret and to Tignes.
Okay.
The ski slopes are not too far away. If I want to walk out my front door within that area, I mean, I'm actually close enough to walk to the gym, walk to that Tignes Space that I mentioned earlier, which has a lot of the inside facilities like the squash courts. I love playing squash. I'm a big squash enthusiast. So the squash courts are not too far away from me. But in summer, I'm across the road from a lovely restaurant which is on the lake called Terrachou, and you walk across the road, you're on the lake, and the view of the lake with what are called the fingers at the back, which are these mountain strips of mountain that come down. It's a stunning view, and I think generally the aspect of where that area faces is it's of a good sort of south-east sort of facing, depending on which building we're talking about. To me, I love that area, but I also love Le Rosset as well. I mean, that's where I would look at, but if I couldn't find somewhere there that I was happy with, I know that I'd be able to find somewhere in Val Claret or Tignes as well. But I think that would be a good place that I would be like, oh, is there something coming up there? That's really interesting. I've got a few clients that would love that. And I know that area it's great. It's just up the road from where our office is actually. So
you do kind of get the impression in Team, correct me if I'm wrong, but you do kind of get the impression that everything is pretty convenient. I mean, if you're looking at someone as a comparison to Chamonix, which is a very kind of spread out long valley, La Tour at one end and Le Bosson, I guess, at the other end, and it's like 20 kilometers. I'm sure someone will correct me that I'm wrong, but like 20 kilometers long. In Tignes, no matter where you are, it seems like it's pretty convenient. Would you say so?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just to come on to Chamonix with that, and I know Chamonix very well. From Les Houches to Argentier, it's quite a distance.
Yeah.
You're completely right. I mean, Chamonix is a completely different area of skiing, completely, really. And I know that we have specialists that know that area even better than myself. So they should be contacted directly. It's a very spaced out. It's a very different product over in Chamonix and a different real estate over there compared to here. But Tignes is really well connected in terms of it's closer together than somewhere like Chamonix. We also have a very good bus service here as well that operates during winter and in summer. Through in season, not so much so. But in interseason, people have their electric bikes and their electric scooters and whatever else they get around from A to B on them. But it's close enough that if people want to walk from Val Claret down into Tignes, 20, 30 minutes, easy 20, 30 minutes. I mean, at the moment, they're walking across the lake that's frozen, that gets piste bashed over the top, and people walk across the lake. I mean, it's very well connected. And I think when I think of Tignes in my head, it feels like everything's really spaced out, but actually when you're here you realize no, it's not actually that spaced out. It's a lot
I would say it was quite condensed actually in comparison to a lot of resorts. Seb, I think we've had a great chat. I think we've kind of covered the square meterage. Certainly a lot of opportunity and development that are going on. We've got a very vibrant winter season because of the altitude. We seem like we have a very vibrant summer season as well. Sounds absolutely amazing. If anyone is looking for ski property in Tignes, Seb seems like your man to talk to that can talk through everything. Before you go, Seb, I just want to ask you one question. I spent my 40th in Val d'Isère. I love that the ski area. What's your preference? Would you, if you had one day to ski, would you ski in Val d'Isère or would you ski in Tignes?
Oh, I don't want to say controversial. No,
we're here to be controversial.
I actually really like the area over the back of the Genepe run in Tignes, off piste I'm talking about, but it would actually class as Val d'Isère because of where it is in the off piste and the borderline.
That's a cop-out answer.
I think Yeah, I love that. I love that ski area. So I'd have to say, like, I'd use the team connection to tour up over into Val d'Isère and then hook back on myself. It's an area that's close towards the Sana. I love that. I love that area.
Yeah.
It's just all open. You're in a big sunny bowl, and it's it's cold. It's high up. Yeah. So I would say that. If that answers your question, I know you said I've copped out, but I'm going to be honest, that's where it is.
That's good enough. Just before we go, I do have one more.
Well, up towards the Grand Mont, then, if that answers your question, because the pistes up there are really, really well groomed. There's some lovely blues that come down the side, like such as Cimalpes run. It's stunning up there. There you go. There's a good answer for our listeners.
I'm very familiar with that myself. It's an amazing place to ski. Just quickly before we go, because we always have to address it in terms of the climate change. Obviously, people are talking about it on Facebook at the moment. You see some people putting a picture of an old farm with no snow on it, and then some people are putting up powder days. Have you kind of seen anything in terms of Tignes? Obviously, what's Valclare 2100. So we've got some really good altitude there. Have you had the conversation with people? Are people having the conversation with you? Are people going, we don't really care because we want a mountain property? Just give us a quick brief overview of
I mean, yeah, it's a really important topic point at the moment. We're talking about it here a lot in the office, and also with our other offices as well. So I often talk to colleagues of mine that say work in lower resorts, which have their benefits too. So I'm not going to name resorts for that reason. But I'm finding a lot of clients are moving up here for snow surety. To answer your question, I'm finding that the season it used to start quite early, like is in October sort of time. I'm seeing that's being pushed more now into November, end of November into December. Over the last sort of amount of years that I've been here, I've seen a shift in the winter. So we're finishing later generally now, in terms of not finishing in, say, end of April. We're finishing mid-May now. January it used to be really, really cold. Like I remember days in January -25 in resort level, which is really, really cold. Now I'm seeing that come in more later into sort of February now. Is climate change having an effect? Yeah, definitely. It's a shame that other resorts are being hit harder than us. Us being a higher resort means that our season is a very long season in terms of months that we are able to ski here. Snow surety, yes, we've definitely got that because we are higher. At night time, it's very cold here because it's higher again. I don't know, that's what I'm feeling. That's I'm seeing clients move from lower resorts to this higher resort here. I'm also seeing other clients that say, do you know what? I actually love the summer. The summer in the mountains is the best for me.
I think that's definitely. I think
it's better.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, just as a summary before we go, I think skiing has evolved a lot, and it used to be so predominantly skiing. I think there's been a real concerted effort from everybody just to kind of highlight the summer seasons and put in infrastructure into the mountain biking, all the stuff that you obviously have in the summer. And making it a kind of a year-round resort, and it seems like Tignes has that in abundance. So, well, look, if anyone,
I mean, there's also as well.
Go on, it's okay.
I was just going to say as well, I mean, I know we've talked a lot about the leaseback properties here, but that we obviously do have other properties that are not in that bi-commercial scheme as well.
Of course.
Really say that, because if people want to be here for 2-3 months, if they've retired and they're like, oh no, I want to spend 4 months out there, whatever, then obviously you need a property that can accommodate you in that sense, and we do have them as well. It's just important for me to say that because I don't want people to think that Tignes is bi-commercial or
No, I absolutely agree. I think it's actually worth saying. I think that most people are wanting to. Well, I say most people. A lot of people are wanting to have the flexibility to use when they want. So they don't necessarily want the buy to let. But Tignes seems like it has it in. There's quite a few properties available, but it's definitely worth pointing out that everything is available. I think just speak to you and see what kind of works for people, and then you take it from there.
100%. Yeah.
Seb,
Absolutely happy to help.
really nice to talk to you. Thank you for all the explanations and everything. And if anyone is listening, then we can put you in touch with Seb, and you can take it from there. Seb, thank you very much, buddy.
Thanks, Ty. Thanks, Mark. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure.
Speak to you
Pleasure.
soon.